I need help, y'all. I need help. I got some lyrics. I got a melody here that I need help with. I wrote this melody many years ago. This melody it feels like 30 years old. And I never finished it. Maybe y'all can help me with this. Okay? I need a verse. I need a chorus. And I need a vamp. Okay? Here's how it goes. I called it So Long. The end of it says, So long, so long, so long, so long, so long. Okay, that was the melody. That was the lyric that I kept hearing in the 90s. And this is one of Bach's unfinished, Sir Walter's unfinished tunes. Again, in the 90s. Did I say 70s or 90s? I don't know. Anyway, I never finished it. It's as old as my children. It goes like this. These are the verses. It's almost like it was. I'm trying to hold on. I'm trying to fix my camera here to see. It's almost like it's a farewell, not goodbye, just so long to a dear passing a friend. Either he passed or he went away. Maybe we'll see him again. I don't know. Okay, I'll do it again. Verse, right? Angela, you hear it? Hey. Yeah, something like that. Here it goes again, verse. goes into this bridge. Then the vamp goes it's like a smooth jazz type tune, but yeah, I keep hearing lyrics and I ain't got it. So you got that. So there's 3 parts there. You heard the verse, de Monet, and then you heard the chorus. So here's the verse. That's the verse. Verse. Then the chorus comes in. So long, so long. So long, so long. Okay? And then we're going to a bridge. Won't be very long. Understand that? Yeah. All right. So no, this ain't public domain this time, DN. I actually copywritten the melody. I got no lyric. Man, de Monet, I would love to hear you sing this. Woo, Lord. Yes, Suzanne, I need lyrics. Because I know you know the lyrics. Who, Louis Booker? Yeah. Angela Johns, what are you saying? Whenever I think back of all of the great times we shared, you seem as if you care to listen to. Oh, are you typing me? Are you giving me lyrics? Ooh. Yeah. Hey, David Tadlock, you lyricist? See, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Now, but I need somebody to kind of sing those lyrics in somehow on a tape or on video or something and send it to me. I would love to choose the best lyric form. Shucks, I give you something. I give you something. I write all lyrics to our songs. David Tadlock, I didn't know that. I need to hear your music, man. I ain't heard none of it. All right, so that right there, especially. what I'm hearing, as y'all can tell, you hear smooth jazz and you hear a tad bit of a little Broadway there. I want a little Broadway there with a teeny bitty bit of classical. Okay, is that if that makes any sense? It's right there, especially there. At the end, you hear smooth. We go back to smooth jazz. At the beginning, I want. Who do I want? I want Joe Sample-ish at the beginning. And I need to build. So the storyline, those of you who are lyricists, you say you are, the storyline must build. They need to tell a story, okay? That's why I'm doing a 1970s birthday party, so we could show y'all how those songs of the 70s told stories. Actually, they call them the singer-songwriter era of the 1970s, because they, the Cats in the Cradle and the Silver Spoon, Little Boy Blue and the Man on the Moon, When You Come, these were stories that were told where it told an entire story within about 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? And these are the songs that grip man's hearts. Okay? Long time ago, the music died. That was singing Bye Bye Miss American Pie. Oh, the Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Good old boy drinking whiskey. I mean, he told an entire story. They don't write them like that as much anymore. There's still some out there, but not like that. And this should tell that story, if that makes any sense to y'all. For those of you who know anything about writing lyrics, I love writing lyrics. And I've written over 2,000 songs. But this one has baffled me for, I think, 25, 30 years. Who's in it? Let me see. My proverbial desk is full with public domain melodies, Deanne says. Okay. Are you in the process of writing, preacher? Yes. Valley Girls trying. Yeah, I'm trying. I'm in a mood to write. And when I get in that mood, I can't stop. I like all. Oh, thanks, man. Tadlock, you can play. Just put full structure together of the song. Do you want it to be a song that says the words of Jesus? It don't have to be gospel. It doesn't have to say Jesus Christ, Holy Ghost. It doesn't necessarily have to be that. All right. And some of y'all are going off right now in the comments. How dare you, preacher? I like all songs. I like all, not all genres. I like many genres of songs that is not really geared towards, although many secular songs are geared to the love of God. Even though they don't put his name in there, they're geared to the love. Because Jesus even said, if you love your neighbor like you love yourself, then they'll know that you're my disciples. So, bam, there's a lot of secular songs that are geared to the love of someone, a love of a friend. One of the great songs is I really miss you, Brandy. I'm so all alone. When are you coming back home? I really miss you. I mean, come on. We even talking about a dog, I think it was. Some people say he's talking about his brandy, his liquor. Somebody say talking about a woman. But if you listen to the lyrics, it sounds like he talking about a dog. Okay? But nevertheless, these songs are gripping. Everything that God says is good and sacred. Yep, including walking. Come on, man. Wait, what am I doing? Hold on, I'm messing up here. You're right, Tadlock. So I don't want you people getting too deep, because they made fun of the Winans brother and sister group, Cece and her brother BB, because they were not calling out Jesus' name and God's name in their lyrics. But those songs crossed over. They were classified in the store as gospel artists. All right, so the people knew that they were gospel artists, and they obviously were singing about the love of God, but they didn't put their names in there. And I think they did it as a way of getting crossover. I shunned it when I was coming up, but I enjoyed their music. I just publicly, I shunned it privately, but then as I got older, I realized what they were doing. Now, some don't agree with it and some do. I don't mess with those people like that anymore. Although, y'all have to look at my Snoop Dogg Facebook Live I did, and well, then y'all gonna be like, okay, but what that was all about. We talk about that later. Got it recorded on the MP3 and a recorded, yeah. I ain't going through all that catalog. You just heard it on here. I'm gonna play it one more time, and then you rewind this tape and tell me what you could do. Anybody out there? Patches, yep, I'm depending on you, son. Yep, come on, Angela John, Patches. See, that's good. Yes, Intervisions, Vansha. Ooh, y'all. See, now y'all getting what I'm saying. So here it goes again. Here's the beginning. Right there. All right. So if you got some lyrics to that, I ain't putting it on nothing. It's on Facebook Live. Rewind it and send me something. Sing it to. Don't just send me words. Sing it with the melody somehow, some way. That's why I kept quiet to do it that last time. All right. The verse is the first verse, then the chorus. It goes back to a second verse, and then to the chorus, and then it vamps out. Then it goes into the bridge. That's just the bridge. That's the bridge. All right? When you hear this, that's still part of the verse. So don't make that a bridge or a change. That's part of the verse. So this would be, the entire verse would be this. Does that a few times. Then does this. Get it? Then get that. That's the last time. Then. right there, or you can retard right there, and sustain there, and then so long, so long. That's good stuff, Angela John. Roberta Flack is a perfect example of what sound I'm looking for. She was her writing style was ingenious, especially when she teamed up with Donny Hathaway. There, I'm gonna be singing some of Donny and Roberta actually this Saturday at my birthday party. All right, there's a song called "Be Real Black for Me." Oh, I had never heard it before until I dedicated an entire show to Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway, and they did a duet called "Be Real Black for Me," and it is absolutely gripping. Okay. And you'll hear me and another young lady singing on Saturday. So that's exactly it. Roberta was an amazing lyricist, and she was a pianist as well as Donny. I don't know how they were able to sit in the studio together and not both faint from each other's brilliance behind piano and behind the pen, because they both wrote great songs. Okay, so that's what I'm hearing. Angela, you are so right by bringing in Roberta Flack. So if y'all can go back and listen to some of Roberta Flack's ballads, you'll see where I was. Because again, my parents, although they are and still are, but they were Christians. My father was a deacon of the church. My mama sang in the choir. They were not so strict like the Church of God in Christ was, or the Apostolic Church was. At that time, they were very strict. They didn't allow us to listen to a lot of secular music. My parents didn't tell us you can't listen to that music, nor did they tell us you can listen to it. They just got tapes that came in from Columbia Tape Club. Y'all remember those cassette tapes? I still got one. I still got the original. Y'all seen this before, Burt Bacharach. This is the original tape that came to the house in 1975, 76, something like that. All right, this is the original. I kept it. And I would listen to all of that music of the 70s, and it was almost like my parents was like, okay, we ain't gonna tell you can't listen to this music, but we're gonna put the box on the bed, and we walk away. They walked away, and I took that tape, and some of that stuff was on. Y'all know what that is, right? It was on the 8-track. Some of that stuff was there, and I put it in the tape recorder, hit the play button, and my future was changed. They introduced me to the world of what's called popular music, and it was because of that. It was Burt Bacharach. It was Helen Reddy in that box. I am woman. I am woman. Hear me roar. The numbers too big to ignore. Da 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 da. Yeah, Helen Reddy. I'm like, what is this music? I even heard the Osmonds in there. Go away, little girl. Go away, little girl. Okay, oh man, I was like, wow, this is beautiful. I heard Glenn Campbell in there and John Denver and all these white artists I had never heard of. Of course, Stevie Wonder was in that band as well. Of course, Elvis was in that band. But these other people I had never heard of, and their music was so gripping. Eric Carmen was all by myself. I want to be all by myself. I mean, wow, what is this music? My parents introduced me to that stuff. Yep. One bad apple don't spoil a whole bunch of girl. Okay. Yeah. Before I beg you to stay, come on, Angela. Angela, you know what I'm talking about? So we were introduced to that stuff, and then my father would play jazz music in the car on the way home from church. We just got through having church, and he would play this music called jazz, and sometimes it'd be blues, in the car on the way home. He never said, hey, don't, I don't know. He never said it. They never said nothing. My father was a musician, still is today, of course. And they allowed me. And then, of course, he loved classical music because WBEZ here in Chicago would play all that classical stuff. All that stuff. And sunk into me. It sunk in. It sunk into me. That's all I heard. On the way home in the car. All night long on the radio, because we had a Zenith TV with the big TV on the front. On the left was the AM FM. On the right was the phonograph, the 33 and the third, and the 78 and the 45, and then the 8-track tape was in there as well. And so all night long, that was me, all day Saturday, listening to that music. I kept turning stations, and that was me, from 1975 all the way up until we finally got rid of that Zenith TV in the 1980s. So I began to write my own song. 1983, I wrote my first song, and it sounded like all that music from my youth. And people said, that sound like this. I sound like, yeah, because I've been beat up with all of this sound of music. Of course, gospel was a part of it, because thank God for Milton Bronson. With his program was from 12 o'clock to 5 o'clock. After him was Father Hayes from 5 o'clock to 7, or 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. I think he did 1 hour, maybe 2, I can't remember. And then Bishop would do his show from 7 to about 10 o'clock. Okay? And then after Bishop went off the air, jazz played at 10 o'clock on Saturday night, from 10 o'clock all through Sunday. That's all you heard was jazz. That was WXFM, Elmwood Park, Chicago. Willie James Campbell, Bishop Willie James Campbell, from 7 to 10. And so we got all our gospel music all day Saturday, but all through the night, it was secular music. In the morning up until 12 o'clock on Saturday, it was jazz, it was soul, and it was R&B, it was classical, it was folklore, it was pop for me. While my brothers were outside playing, chasing girls and riding their bikes, I was in the house looking at the Zenith box, you know. And so why is it that out of 9 kids, I'm the one that decided to go full-time in music? Full-time. Why? Because full-time music was in me when I was a little boy. So these songs are birthed out of that experience, and I'm glad of it. And so there you have it. Someone could just give me a lyric, because this melody has been sitting in my brain for almost 30 years now. Yeah, Benny and the Jets. Benny and the Jets. Vontra Brown. Yeah, great music. Of course, Soul Train introduced us to a lot of the soul music of that day. But our show, of course, Soul Train came on Saturdays around 2 o'clock. American Bandstand was the white side. And Dick Clark tried to get Soul Train kicked off the air. He tried his best. They couldn't do it. But that's when we got introduced to I write the songs that make the whole world sing. I write the song that none the kids are free. I write the song that make the young girl cry. I write the song. Old Barry Manilow, who, although he sang I Write the Songs, come to find out, he didn't write that song. Somebody else wrote it for him. And then we were introduced to Madonna on American Bandstand. All right, before she got nasty with the Virgin songs and all that stuff, that's who we got introduced to. You know, of course, the Jackson 5. So, gosh, this is our world. For those of you who are my age and older, you can identify with all of this. And that's why I am dedicating my birthday to the 1970s, because that era was, I think, as far as music is concerned, probably some of the best music ever written in American music, the 1970s. But I will be honest with you, I think the 1940s might be even better than that. Some of y'all say, huh? I think the 1940s might be a little better than that. And I'll have to, one of these days, I'll tell you why. All right. So, y'all got any questions? I think I just gave y'all the whole premise of my part. That's pretty much it. All right. So you got the melody. I don't think I need to play it anymore. It's in C sharp, by the way. Okay. So many ways to go there. Okay. And then that vamp tells the final story. What was it? So it's a social conscious. It's a social song dealing with social relationship. Maybe with a. I want it to be more of a geared to a friend. Telling a friend something. Now, it could be religious because you could be witnessing to a friend, or you could be losing a friend to death, or you could be losing him because he's going away to the military or something like that. But I think, I just heard a song my brother Larry introduced me to, and I think it was the greatest song of this year. I think the greatest song that I've heard this year. It's a song that says, "The Men Who Drive Me Around," I think it's called. "The Men Who Drive Me Around." I don't know if anybody ever heard that. It's a white artist. It's a pop song, I think. The lyrics blew me away. It had me tearing up. And that's when you know when prosody is really working to your advantage, when you're able to take a lyric and put it with a melody, and they become married. They become one. And this song here, of course, it's I don't know if it was a guitar or piano, I can't remember, but the lyrics, he's talking about how famous he is, how well known he is, and he goes into venues and people applaud and bravo and stand and all these things, but yet he says the guys that chauffeur me to these venues, you should be actually giving these guys the praise. When I say praise, I don't mean, These are the guys who get me to my places, who take me back. He says, I don't know about their families. They could be struggling. They could be having issues with it, but they have to leave their families to drive me around town so that I could receive all the accolades. And yet he has to stay in the car. It is the greatest song. Y'all go ahead and YouTube that, called "The Men Who Drive Me Around." OMG. And the last song I heard this year that always gripped my heart is by country artist. What is his name? It's called Be Courteous and Kind, something like that. Please be. He's talking about his grandmother telling him, or a mother telling a child, please be patient and kind, or something like that. What is it? Who was the artist? It'll come to me in a minute, and somebody type it in the. It is a great song. Please be courteous and kind, or something like that. It's a country artist. What are you saying, Angela? It starts sad, kind of, then it has hope in the middle, but says goodbye at the end. Yeah, Angela, you hear that? You see? And there are interpretations that some of you, a couple of you, will get different interpretations from it. Rise Up, and This Is Me, and Hills and Valleys are pretty powerful. Yeah, Shantae. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Yes, Shantae, you own it. Again, and I needed to build. I need to build. Okay. Like the Broadway show that I always bring up, the Hills are alive with the sound of music. I mean, that whole Roger and Oscar and Heimerstein and all those writers, they were experts at using prosody that caused you to be brought into that musical. And that's why when I came up, my mother would watch those MGM musicals. My favorite, of course, was Singing in the Rain. I think Singing in the Rain is the greatest MGM musicals of all time. I don't think they will ever top it. The masterful piece of Singing in the Rain. I still have it on my DVR, and I watch it every now and then. I get a chance to when I'm just melancholy. I put that on. Of course, American in Paris is another great musical. And then The Music Man is probably my top 3 musical of all time. There's so many of them. Oklahoma is a nice one, and it's just too many. Porgy and Bess is a great one, all right? It's just too many. And George Gershwin and Ira Gershwin were two of the, I think, some of my greatest composers were those two men. One was the pianist, the other one was the lyricist, of course. You know, y'all call it the United Airlines commercial. It's a great song. Come on, who does that? That's all it is. It's just ragtime. That's all that is. It's just ragtime. And it's also like it's a lift in maybe Southern gospel, Baptist style. It's all churchy. That's all it is. It's amazing how music just goes full circle, and how we are influenced by different genres, and they make it their own. We make it our own. That's all that is. Then it turns into Broadway. Okay, and my greatest black show from the 70s, other than The Wiz, was a movie called Bingo Long and the Traveling All-Stars and Motor Kings. Long title, but it is some of the greatest writings. I think maybe Quincy Jones might have had his hands in that. Bingo Long and the Traveling All-Stars and Motor King, all black cast. Yeah. All right. Let me stop. Hey, Sear, my daughter. Bless you. Yep, Summertime. Yeah, The Sound of Music, great show, man, all original music. Yes, summertime, and the going is easy. Okay, right there. And you can, gosh, that's I look at that as kind of bluesy. It's hymnal-ish. It's traditional. There's so many things you can do with that. Summertime. Yeah, great musicals. They taught us a lot, but we taught them. Understand, Gershwin and all of these men who wrote these songs were influenced by African American music and slave songs. These songs that, you know, the chain gang songs, on the railroad songs. Okay, civil rights songs. A lot of these artists, these composers were inspired by African Americans. It's difficult, extremely difficult to find any genre of music. It's hard to find any genre of music that did not have, that were not influenced by the African American experience or the African experience. It is really hard. I mean, there's a lot of new AG type music is out there today. If you look on Google and type in genres of music, and you see a list that's a mile long. But if you pay close attention to its style and beat patterns and meter, you'll notice that once slowed down or sped up or what have you, if you change the meter just a little bit, you will hear the sound of the African. You hear it. Of course, rock and roll, it took them a while to even give us credit for it. They were already singing our blues and our jazz and our gospel and our Negro spirituals, That's just the way it was. And the ones who are true to the truth, the whites, they'll tell you. I visited a black church. And so this song comes from, I was listening, sometime I Uber around town and I'm listening to a white radio station. I don't know if I should call it white. Well, anyway, it's called The Blend. The station called The Blend. I love that station because it plays a blend of different variations of music, mostly pop music. And every now and then, the announcer will come on and say, here's a new song by yada 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 who was inspired by black gospel. And then bam. And I think it was one of the songs that was featured on the Grammys this year. There was a couple songs that was talking about prayer at the Grammys, and it wasn't a gospel song, it was a pop song. So we are constantly being influencing the sound of America in our songs. Constantly. You should be proud of it. Those of you who are black and watching this still. All right? You got the melody. It's 30 years old, and I need lyrics. All right? So, help a brother out, will you please? Thank you. I'm going to bed. It's Saturday night. And I ain't got nobody. I got some money, but I just got paid. Hey, when did that come out? 70s or the 80s? I don't even remember. Y'all type that in there, somebody. Okay? I would play the song over here, but YouTube will, not YouTube, but YouTube will too. And Facebook Live will grab it, and then there it goes. It will silence it, so I can't play it. But go and type in the men. Matter of fact, I can show it to you. I don't have to. The Men Who Drive Me Around. And let me show you who the artist is. And then you can type it in and listen to the lyrics. The Men Who Drive Me Places. That's the name of it. The Men Who Drive Me Places. Okay? It's by... I'm sorry to be rude and put my hand there. It's by Ben Rector. Let me show you his face here. That guy right there. Ben Rector. The Men Who Drive Me Places came out in 2016. Please go there and check that out. The other one is Always Be... the last one is Always Be Something in Kind. Always Be Humble and Kind. Always Be Humble and Kind. That is by Tim McGraw. Tim McGraw. It's called Humble and Kind. Right there. Tim McGraw, Humble and Kind. Okay, y'all know who Tim McGraw is. Right. Where is he? Right there. Okay. Yeah. Those two songs is going to bless you. That is where I'm trying to go. Angela, that song came from the 60s, the one I was singing earlier. Yeah, those two songs blessed me this year. And they're not gospel. They're not gospel. They're not religious songs. They're songs talking about humanity and being good and kind. And this is just a perfect example that you'd be surprised how much morality dwells in the mind of those who are worldly, but it seems like those who are Christians seem to be on the other spectrum. It's amazing because Jesus, every time he rebuked somebody, it was somebody among the household of faith. Pharisees, Sadducees, believers. Every time he rebuked somebody, he didn't rebuke the world. He rebuked his own. It's amazing. That's a study. All right. I look forward to seeing and reading and hearing y'all's melodies. Your lyrics. That'd be great. So I can get this out of my head, because it's been bothering me for 30 years. Help me out, will you please? Oh, I have a book. Matter of fact, I can kind of prove to y'all. I can kind of prove to y'all. Okay, it's getting dark because I'm in my library. I can kind of prove to you that I've been working on these hundreds of songs for 30 years. Here's my proof right here. These are my songs. Okay? These, where am I? How do I do this? These are my songs. Y'all see this? These are my songs. It's hundreds. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And they're just. I used to be a little more organized, but I'm not as organized as I used to be. And what I would do is I'll put a date stamp on them so that I can remember what the Lord was saying. For instance, here's one called "Hem of His Garment." And what I usually would do is I would title it, and then I would put the date up there. You see, I wrote this on August 10th, 1993. Okay? And most of these, I remember the melody. Most of them I do. Some of them, they're gone now. They're just lyrics on a piece of paper. All right? So now y'all know. What are you saying here? Put that stash away. Didn't you learn from Prince? They came for the vault. Well, I don't care about folks coming at me. They don't know where my office is. Yeah, so that's my stuff. The ones that I've introduced to people, they've been copywritten. A lot of them have been copywritten, so I really don't care about it. And last but not least, y'all don't know the melodies to these. All right, gotta go. We'll see y'all tomorrow. So that's the Show.